Hey there, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another one-man review. Today we're looking at another one of the books that I got in Fantagraphics Fantabucks sale. I pre-ordered everything that I wanted for the whole rest of the year and then cashed out on a whole bunch of books. So I'm going through and reviewing those. This is Portrait of a Drunk by the team of Ruppert and Mulot, and this is in collaboration with Oliver Schwarren, who I'm familiar with from his book Arseny Schwarren. Ruppert and Mulot I'm familiar with for their collaborations with Bastien Vives. It seems that they really like that collaboration mode, and it's always interesting to try and figure out who's contributing what. My assumption after reading this book is that they tend to be like the writers and the layout artists because it feels similar in pacing and stuff to the other works I've seen of theirs, and the finishing and the colors feel very much like what I'm familiar with from Oliver Schwarren on the I don't know how to pronounce it, Arseny Schwarren. It's one about his grandfather, I believe. Um, so yeah, it's a really interesting look to the book. This type of rounded border and that like dark blue purpley line work seems to be the Oliver Schwarren look, the coloring in the background, but then the cartooning looks like the Ruppert and Mulot. So I'm assuming maybe they wrote and laid it out and Schwarren finished it and colored it. It's really interesting to see how they merge with other artists, and I'm curious to find out more about them as a team. I've seen a lot of other stuff of theirs has not been translated, and I hope Fantagraphics or somebody goes through and translates the body of work of Ruppert and Mulot. The story itself just follows this guy who calls himself Guy, who's a drunk. I think, given what I've read from Oliver Schwarren, I was expecting a more serious story, but I guess this is more again of the Ruppert and Mulot writing. So you just follow this character Guy around, and he's a drunk, and it pretty quickly turns into a pirate story, where he winds up on a pirate ship, um, and it goes from there. So it's pretty much just a guy being drunk, and he stumbles through life, and he stumbles into situations. I'll show a couple panels later where him just being kind of a dumb drunk man gets him through while all this other explosive stuff is going on around him, and he bumbles his way through an adventure, and then when the adventure's over he just kind of keeps on bumbling through town. That's like the flow of the book. It's an interesting formal thing that throughout the book there are panels that are colored and panels that aren't. I couldn't find an exact logic for why and when. Usually they're colored when it's something like more intense of a moment, but not always. Like there's a lot of times where there's fighting or something going on and it's not colored. So I'm not sure exactly how that decision was made. I was also particularly curious on this page that they've just left like indications of like testing out a pen in the margins, and it looked like something got cut out here and pasted in. There was panel borders that got erased out that used to be two panels or something. I didn't notice that much throughout the book, but I like these pages where it's like they just didn't digitally clean it up. And most of the pages they do, or pages like this where just schmutz is in it. That all seems very intentional. It's interesting. Here's another one. Again, a scene where there's a lot of color, but it's not as action filled. So not sure what's going on there. But another one of these ones where it's like the panel got filled in first, and then they decided to just go ahead and draw over it and leave it. I don't think it has any meaning. I also don't know what the collaboration process was, like how much it got passed back and forth. So some of that might just be evidence of this passing back and forth through the mail or in a room together. I don't know. I'd love to talk to these guys and figure it out. Along the way, Guy winds up murdering or causing the deaths of a number of people, and they wind up in this like dark space here. Let's see if we can find a page. They wind up like in the afterlife, basically. Here we go. So the characters wind up in this afterlife, and they can follow like what he's doing. So you have these characters like peeking through at the story, which is fun, and it's just piling up. Like his drunken bumbling through life is piling up all of these deaths and chaos for other people. There are some absolutely stunning pages and compositions in here with beautiful colors. This is a really good example of that. All the layouts are really great. Here's another example of the afterlife story, and another really great illustration with amazing colors with this parrot now that's eating the finger of someone, and then their fingers and feet start showing up in the afterlife. This is very Oliver Schwarren looking to me. Here's a really good piece of formalism, a really good formalist storytelling technique. And this is the area where you can really see how the character bumbles through. So they're attacking this castle, the pirates are attacking a castle, trying to get some treasure from there. And the main crew goes up and has a battle. And Guy and his apprentice, some kid that he's got following along, they just stumble into the downstairs and into the baths and are checking out naked ladies while this whole fight is going on upstairs. And this character here, a dwarf, he splits off at some point and actually goes and gets the treasure. So there's the fight, there's this character going for the treasure, and then Guy and his apprentice are down here in the baths, again just stumbling through life like an idiot. Fight keeps going, this character steals the treasure and then enters down into their story. So I really like that bit. And then, you can see all the cool illustrations keeping from there. I don't want to give away too much of the story. Another really interesting part is he's hallucinating or dying or something, and the characters from the afterlife start to cross over. There's like these torn out panel looks where he's hallucinating them as monsters while he's laying there on the beach, either too drunk or, poisoned or something. It's not totally clear. I think he's just drunk and passed out. But he interacts with all these characters in the afterlife that he has caused their deaths. And you get these scenes where he's got the hallucinations still. There's no real... I guess there is an adventure of sorts that has like an arc to it. But really, there's no beginning or ending of this story. You kind of get the sense that you've just checked in on like a day or a week of this guy's life. And that this is probably kind of, I don't know, like Gru or somebody that just constantly having misadventures and stumbling their way through it, causing chaos while they're around them. That's where the portrait of a drunk comes from. It seems almost like a morality tale about alcoholism, where it's this guy's kind of heroic. He pulls off all of this amazing stuff, but he's a completely despicable character who doesn't earn any of the successes he has, and he causes all this death and damage in his wake. So it's an interesting book in that sense. I think that the thing I really just love about the book the most is the way that it looks, the design of it, the color, and then I'm so fascinated by the collaborative process that Ruppert and Mulot have with other artists. Who's making decisions to put in things like this, who's making decisions on the coloring, who's writing things. It's really interesting. I'd love to talk to these guys. I don't even know if they speak English, but fascinating books, and I definitely highly recommend this. And I'll be checking out as much of all three of these creators' work as I can. Thank you for following along. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.